Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another fantastic episode of Foxborough Central. My name is Bob Hickey, and you are my guest today as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. I am joined today by my guest, Chairman of our Board of Selectmen here in Foxborough, Mark Sullivan. Mark, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Do I have to call you Mr. Chairman, or can we go with Mark?
No, I'd rather you didn't.
Okay, then very good. Mark is a 3-term selectman, correct?
Correct.
And currently you are the chair. Heady times here in Foxborough. We're doing well. We are doing well financially. We're doing well as far as services provided. But there's always opportunity for success, growth, room for improvement. And in the spirit of the National State of the Union Address in January, and in the spirit of now Governor Deval Patrick's State of the State Address, I thought here in Foxborough Central, why not bring to you, good citizens of Foxborough, a State of the Town review, shall we say. So that's why we're here, and I say let's have at it. Mr. Sullivan, it is great that you joined us today. Free form. I don't have a script. Do you have a script?
Not at all.
Well, let's just have some fun then.
Absolutely.
Always like talking to you because you are one of the more fascinating people here in town, and I've known you for many years. Served with you formerly on the Board of Selectmen back before I got fired in 2008. And those were some great boards. I felt that we had some good working, I won't say necessarily relationship because we are 5 individually elected members, but we do have to work together as a team, correct?
Correct. No, it's always interesting. Every time the board changes, the dynamics of it change, and then another personality comes in, and you really learn to appreciate that. So,
Well, no one's ever said they appreciate my personality, so I'll go with you on that one. That'll constitute our positive piece of the program here. But in all seriousness. We have a situation now where you've got 5 members and you've got some issues going on. You have a town hall that is in need of some things, so let's touch on that. We have obviously one of our major employers, Invencis, who this town essentially has been identified with for the last 100+ years. They are either in a growth spurt or they're in a reorganization and contraction spurt. And I think the jury is still out, although our town did vote and it was approved to grant them tax incentive funding. So the TIFs, the infamous TIFs, that was a good thing that the town did. And so that construction is starting, as we read in everybody's favorite newspaper, the Foxborough Reporter. Shameless plugs, I'll toss them out there anytime I get a chance to. So we've got that on the table. And then we also have our growth engine, which is Route 1, Patriot Place, and Gillette Stadium, and the land across the street from Gillette Stadium in the parking areas on Route 1. Our town, and I'm sure you can jump in and disagree anytime you want, but I think we all have to, as taxpayers, really appreciate the fact that the financial industries, the subprime mortgage collapse, and then the subsequent fall, and unemployment spike and housing collapse of 2008-2009, Foxborough was fairly immune against it because we had some significant growth going on, and so we got off easy, to put it lightly. Do you agree with that?
When we first were on the board together in 2005, we didn't have a lot going on for commercial tax base other than the stadium itself, and then.
And if you remember, back in 2005, summer 2005, there was the 2002 economic collapse where the state took in exponentially fewer tax dollars than they thought, and they cut back on our local aid funding in October, November of 2002. Which caused 2003, 2004 to be really tough years. 2005, 2006, we had another dip, if you remember. We had to work through that.
It was a tough years, but I think a lot of today's success is because of prior boards and their commitment to bringing things to reality. And I was part of a lot of those boards, and then I took a couple of years off, and then now I'm back, and it's been fun. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy working with the people. I mean, the first thing we set our goals on with the new board this year was just trying, and then I was elected to the chair, was trying to let people run with their talents. So instead of being, trying to do everything, because you can't, I focused a lot with Jimmy DeVellis on the child safety situation after the Sheehan matter. And that just came to fruition where Jimmy had some great ideas. He put together a committee. That's a standing committee, just like, you know, the Ponce Reservoir Committee, any of those committees.
Okay.
Where, you know, there's 7 volunteers, and there's 7 grade volunteers, and they work every week or 2. They meet. They're going to come up with goals and objectives that Jimmy laid out to, you know, bring in front of the town meeting what we want as a bylaw to protect our children for the future, and today, of course. And
so that's something they've been working on, and with this standing committee, it's now going to be something where people are appointed, and there's terms of
3
appointment.
years.
Okay.
Yep. So they started off with a 1-year thing, and then we'll just see how it goes. But it's a work in progress. But that whole Sheehan matter took up a great deal of time. Obviously, more than 2 selectmen couldn't work on it at a time. So Jimmy and I spearheaded that. I put Jeannie Capola worked very hard on the parking lot situations we were dealing with at the stadium and other things. And Lorraine has been focused basically on trying to get the new town manager. So I'm delegating duties, and you know, and they're all very enthusiastic about doing it, and just as well as John Gray doing what he's been doing. So I mean, instead of one person trying to do it all, we've tried to work as a whole, just distribute all the, you know, the things that need to be done, and move from there, and then report back. So
Well, let's touch on those areas, because you raised most of the hot topics in town, and this is a good conversation start. So, as chairman, you're they say that a good leader doesn't really do everything. They just know who's doing things and can delegate and can work. So it sounds as though you have a team working together, and of course individually elected selectmen have their own agendas. But from a town management perspective, you've got folks working on different things and they report back. So let's talk about, let's just pick a random one that you mentioned, parking. Selectman Jenny Capola is spearheading the parking situation. What is the parking situation? And
well, that's past. It's in the past. It's when the stadium wanted to do a no parking fee, and it was going to be part of the ticket, I believe. And Jenny could speak to this more. And the private lot owners got upset about it.
Okay.
So when they called me, I asked Jenny to take care of it, and she did. She went out and she reached out to the craft group and the parking lot owners, and they got together and they worked it out.
Now, I remember there was, and I don't know if it still exists, but there was an informal coalition of parking lot owners up on Route 1, and then we had regularly scheduled meetings with public safety, with stadium personnel, and with the parking lot owners' representatives to work through any types of issues that would arise like this. Is that still going on?
Still going on.
Excellent. Well, it shows that communication is always a new yet known issue. And so with the parking situation, no issues now. It's a resolved issue.
At the present time, everything's working fine.
Well, see, that's a good thing. It shows that the Board of Selectmen is accomplishing things. Excellent. And we can talk a little more about what's going on over one with parking. I always think also with the billboard situation. As we know, there was an agreement where the stadium would construct billboards. I think one was on town land and a couple were on their land, but they would package them all together and there'd be a 50-50 split after fees to benefit the town, ideally towards water and sewer rate users and the stadium. So I know that the agreement expired and that selectmen were unable to come to a new agreement, and so right now it's on a month-to-month working relationship until a more permanent agreement is hammered out. I also know that town meeting, for those of us who attended, all 268 of us, you were there.
Yes.
I saw you on stage. We know that the town voted not to allow digital LED billboards, which, and I'll give a little personal opinion on this, for us to stick our head in the sand and refuse to acknowledge that the future is now, and to not allow new technology just because it's something that we don't understand. That's tough. We got to educate ourselves, and I think selectmen need to do a better job of explaining it, but I think citizens need to do a better job of understanding that, you know, a blinky light is not Satan's spawn. It's just a blinky light. And the ability to change a billboard without rolling up new stock and having the trifold switching around, there's no difference other than it's a different type of technology. It's not different. The message is still there, whatever they're advertising. Waxy O'Connor's go this way. I saw the billboard up at the test one that's up by the McDonald's in Jimmy O'Brien's place up on the corner of North and Route 1. It's that type of new thing that can be a huge win, because I understand that there was a significant amount of money that the town is not allowing to happen because of that vote. So is there any opportunity for that to come back to us?
I think it's still in the process. Basically, it's between not just the stadiums and the town. It's also some private lot owners up there that also want to have a digital billboard. So they're going through...
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Yeah,
There's
so
a lot of opportunity up there.
But everybody needs a variance or some kind of determination from the planning board. I mean, that's the ZBA. So they're all going through that. I know the ZBA can answer to that better. I'm not one of those people that muddle into other committees. When they need me, they call me. I'm not one that goes and tries to micromanage other committees or other elected committees. So
that's why I like you as a selectman.
So it's still going on. I know there's some people upset, but it is troublesome because it's been going on for so long. I think since 2007, we've been having debates.
Because that was part of the, that was a parallel agreement. There was the agreement to bring liquor licenses for however much, and I chaired that committee, and you also chaired the needs assessment committee. And then the third selectman, Jim Thrasher, found out, did the negotiations with the state ABCC as to what we could and could not assess as far as mitigation. So that is one piece. And then the other piece was between the water and sewer commissioners for the long-standing needs of the town, which, by the way, we seem to have addressed to a certain degree with our last special town meeting vote to enter into the tri-town municipal, I don't even remember the name of it, but the municipal agreement between Mansfield and Norton.
Wastewater.
Yes, the wastewater, the intermunicipal wastewater agreement. And so that seems to have given us an opportunity for growth and ownership, by the way, because that was always the big issue, is that we were a customer of Mansfield's. And so we were limited in what kind of say we had, what kind of participation we had. Now that we're going to be a partner, a part owner, I think it'll be a different dynamic, and Foxborough will have much more, I won't say ownership, but we'll have much more opportunity as far as steering how the wastewater, sewage, for those uninitiated.
Well, I think a lot of the funding in that was going to be part of the billboard situation.
That was going to be a piece of it.
And what happened was our former town manager decided to open negotiations into a situation where water and sewer was not part of it, and then that came into a situation where they were upset, and it wasn't brought to my attention until I basically became chairman.
Yep.
And now we're in the midst of changing town managers, and that should be coming to fruition by the end of the month, I would think.
We'll talk about that in a second also.
So I think a lot of things have gone on hold because our acting town manager, Bob Cutler's had his hands full, just adapting to the job and dealing with a lot of things. We've had to deal with a lot of, I will say, crisis situations this year. And, people don't understand when you're working on something and then you got to go to do something that's an emergency, you've now put that on the shelf for a week, maybe 2, maybe 3, and then you got to go back to it. So I think the focus would be to get the new town manager in place. And then I think we've even discussed this back when we were on the board together. We need an assistant town manager. We need an assistant town manager bad to take care of the daily routines because it's an overwhelming task. I've witnessed that firsthand, that town manager can't do everything that they're asked to do in the allotted time they have. It's just not going to happen. So I think in the future the town's going to need to look to getting an assistant town manager so that the daily tasks continue to be done, and then the actual real impact stuff is being done at the same time. And I know our former town manager tried that with what's the word I'm looking for? People that come in for $10-15 an hour, interns,
yes.
And they did some work, but it wasn't. They weren't biting it like we needed them to bite into the Big Apple and get some things done.
But you raise an excellent, and again, we're talking with Mark Sullivan, chairman of our Board of Selectmen, and we're talking about a state of the town interview, and I think we're also hitting some future and some goals. So this is great the way I anticipated this would be. We're going to toss this stuff out there. So let's talk about the intern and being an assistant. Did some really good things when they were here. Identified that we are underestimating our mileage in roads. And because of that, we enhanced the funding for the cherry sheet funding because of more accurately assessing the total mileage that we have within our borders. So it's that sort of thing. You're right, that a manager who is at a high level working with the broad pictures doesn't have the time to get down in the nitty gritty of, okay, let's measure roads and see if we're accurate. That's interesting.
No, there's a lot of other small little tasks they did. I mean, it's something that needs to continue. And the intern thing, there's so many that come in and out. We need somebody that's going to be stationary. We need somebody that wants to come in and work for the town. That wouldn't be under the constant spotlight a town manager would be.
Well, that's an interesting statement, because we also get to the spotlight of the town manager. By definition, the town manager runs the administrative and functional aspects of town government, whereas the Board of Selectmen are the policymakers, and they manage the direction of the town, if you will. And I think that's what a lot of folks, and one of my other part-time gigs is I'm a grumpy columnist, so we'll put that aside. But
opinion columnist.
Whatever. But it has been noted that our former town manager was a little more political, and I read this in an editorial, not mine, an editorial in the paper, that he's a little more political than what maybe a lot of people are comfortable with. And so as you get ready to, and you said the town manager search is coming to fruition at the end of this month, let's talk about that. And let's talk about the permanency, or at least the desire for permanency. Andy Galla was here for decades.
32 years,
and
33 years.
And there's no way that's going to happen again in this day and age, or is there?
I have no idea if that's going to happen, Bob. In 30 years, I don't know if neither one of us will be here.
Wait a second.
Never mind, 32.
There we go.
I'm really optimistic that the group of people we put together, the selection committee, will bring back 3 to 5 positive, candidates, and then the board will take that from there. And I think that I just get a positive vibe from it that it's going to be a good situation.
Okay.
I think I was actually hoping there would be some female candidates, but there wasn't.
Really?
No, which was out of 30-something candidates, there was not one female. And that was a little disturbing. I thought with today's situation, there'd be more available for that type of work, but not one applied.
Nobody applied.
So we got all
Now, we
male
used a
candidates.
consulting group.
Yep, Hibachi, Mr. Kibachi. He collected put out the basically the RFP and what we were looking for,
Right.
and then the candidates came back to him, and then the review committee got together and basically scrutinized all the applications, and then they did some phone interviews, I believe. I'm not positive on that, and then they're doing interviews now, and then they'll come forward. But like I said, Lorraine Brew's been handling that,
Okay.
so she's going to give the board a report on Tuesday to where we are this coming
Excellent.
meeting. So
And
when
so-
she does that, I'll be updated.
And of course, due to the beauty of television, this was taped before that, so you'll at home be benefiting from watching pre-interview conversation, post-interview. So hopefully you'll have picked up your Foxborough Reporter or watched the Selectmen's meeting live at FCA TV on the government channels, or picked it up on our website, www.fcatv.org. Got to get those shameless plugs in.
You gotta love it.
I gotta love it. So with the search for town manager, Lorraine Brew, selectman, who is the assistant chair this year.
Yes.
And she's also a 2-term selectman.
Correct.
She's been working hard on this project, and so she would get a lot of credit for the work that goes into it. And as we know, with any subcommittee, it is a lot of work because you have to hold meetings, get volunteers, get all the cats in the same room going in
Post
the
the
same
meetings,
direction.
find a location for the meetings. It's a lot of work.
And finding locations is tougher and tougher in this
And I just
community.
found out at the new cable access that we have another meeting room in town.
Well, Foxborough is a gem of Norfolk County, and there are hidden gems in Foxborough. Of course, Mark is referring to our studios, which is why the program is named Foxborough Central, because we have lovely new studios on Central Street here in downtown Foxborough.
This is very impressive, this new building and structure. I mean, very impressive.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I think it's warranted of its own little, walkthrough show to show the town what's actually occurred here. I'm without words. I mean, I never expected. I thought we were going to be in the back corner from the last interview I did, and here I am. I think I'm on Good Morning America. I got the cars driving by outside, and this is really, it's nice. So
well, we appreciate
congratulations to that.
Thank you. And I'll put the mirror back on you. You did a little bit of work in helping us, because a lot of this goes into the nuts and bolts of what a selectman does, and part of that is managing the town manager and the people, but also it is managing the process. And when local cable goes through its 10-year annual renewal for the contract cycle, it requires a lot of work. It requires an appointment by the Board of Selectmen of a subcommittee, a standing committee, and Lynn Feld did a wonderful job as our chairman the last time. It requires a willingness to work towards a common goal. And for cable and for what we do here with Cable Access, it's bringing information to the folks and being able to ensure that we have a funding stream that'll allow us. Although I'm a volunteer, it does cost money to have the studio and to have wonderful staff, Lauren Batar, our executive director, Michael Weber, Mark Nash, who are and there are others who really work hard to make sure that we're on the air and able to bring this information. But where would we be without cable? And part of that goes into the role of the Board of Selectmen in ensuring that we've got enough hammers to convince the cable operators that we do perform not only a good service, but that there's a value in the fees that are being charged. So
Absolutely.
Thank you back to you.
I mean, you see the volunteers everywhere in town, at the basketball games, the football games. I mean, they're everywhere.
And Foxborough, like all other towns, is
daily,
built on the back of volunteers. Absolutely.
It's a daily task.
And you're a volunteer.
Sometimes.
Being a member of the Board of Selectmen is a volunteer position, and so at the risk of sounding too positive, because we would never want me to do that, but thank you very much for your service doing that.
Appreciate it. No, it's a great town.
So why do you be selectman?
It gets me out of the house, Bob.
There you go. That's the silliest thing. You have a lovely family.
I enjoy it. A lot of people say it's a lot of, pressure, and sometimes it is. There's been some seriously heated situations in the community, and it doesn't bother me that much directly. It used to. You grow used to it.
What do they call it? Getting a thick skin.
Yeah, so you just get used to it, and you try and do what's best for the whole community, not just for one individual group or this group. And I see more of the town more united now than I've ever seen it. I mean, we've had some pretty divisive things in the past, and I'm hoping that's behind us when we move forward with the daily things the town's supposed to be, like a town hall. We've gone through so many other projects that have gone through. I mean, the turf field's just been completed.
Yeah,
hopefully
looks very nice.
They'll keep working on that infrastructure. I know the tracks planned around it, the baseball fields are being done. That's the stuff I want to see happen. I don't like the headbutting, as I say.
Right.
So I think now focus on town hall, which is very much like the water sewer situation. It keeps getting turned down and pushed back and pushed back. So now.
So what is your vision?
Well, right now, we've looked into, like some people had said, tell me we didn't look into lease options. We looked into 7 different lease options, and now I guess that's where we're going to have to lean back, is towards a lease option. It's
but a lot of that, and I don't mean to interrupt, but time is growing so short, Mark.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes down to a town manager, and it seems as though it is a truism that the fish either rots from the head down, or the leadership can bring an organization along. And it is such a key hire to get the right person to lead our town from the administrative side. because I think a lot of the problem with the town hall issue was just either a combination of too much information and not enough trust. There was a sense from many folks, and I voted positively, by the way, if you saw me from the audience, but there was a sense that some of the options you mentioned, that lease options had been reviewed for 7 different types of options, that information wasn't necessarily communicated out to the town. And I think what a good, strong town manager does is a key communicator. And one of the things I really enjoyed about Andy Gall is he would take the time to explain, and the story wouldn't change. It was what he told me in an office would be pretty much the same story that came out at the selectmen's table when we're going through the review. And the information was available ahead of time. If I knew I had a meeting on a Tuesday, I'd have the information on the Friday ahead of time, and I'd have the weekend to review it and vet it and research it. And I think that is the key to success, regardless of all the other issues. It's just having somebody who really understands, communicates, and is straightforward and honest.
Well, there was a lot of emotion involved with the last town meeting when it came to town hall, and I think a lot of people were misinformed, and I think they were misinformed intentionally. I think there was a lot of animosity towards not getting it for the employees, and I understand it's $8 million. I don't know where the 11.5 all of a sudden came out of the hat, but we were at like 8.5. And, you know, we've got to trust Bill Euchner and his people. They've been right on for the last 4, 5, 6 projects. If not, you know, every project's come under budget. So you have to put some trust in that. Mm-hmm. And I think you know, without having a strong voice as a town manager, it played into it a lot.
Yeah.
Because we were going to put it back for another year, but we just figured we'd get the plans. It's all we were asking for was the planning structure. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people assumed once you got the plans at $500,000, which was the money we already have, that it would be, you know, an automatic to build the structure. But you couldn't get a real number on that. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a lot of misinformation, and I would call it, you know, inappropriately done. Mm-hmm. And it was almost embarrassing to see how people were misinformed about the exact opposite of what we were trying to do.
But the key to combating misinformation is to provide the good information, and that is a component of communication, and that is hopefully what our new town manager will do for us.
I hope so, because that was something that didn't need to happen. Mm-hmm. All we were trying to do is get through the planning process. Yep. But, you know, maybe it's a good thing down the road. Sometimes very disappointing decisions or endings turn into very good ones down the road. So we'll keep positive. Maybe it'll be a better option that's cheaper.
That is an excellent way of putting it, because I could not agree more. I usually find, and I think historically we've seen, that town meeting usually comes to the right conclusion. And I'm very confident that we've got good leadership in place. I am so happy that you took the time to come out and talk to us about the state of the town. Again, speaking with the chairman, Mark Sullivan, our Board of Selectmen. Thank you so much for coming out.
My pleasure.
You get the last word. Is there anything you want to tell the good folks of Foxborough about the direction of our town?
Just keep your heads up and stay positive, and we'll keep moving forward for you. We'll do the best we can. That's what we're here for.
I love it. All right, and for those of you who are in Foxborough who want to volunteer on any one of our standing committees, best way to do that is go check out the town report. All the committees standing are listed in there, and there's even a form in the back about, hey, I want to volunteer. Foxborough is built on the backs of volunteers. Be part of the solution. Until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.